Over time, every traveler notices the same thing. It's not the big disasters that ruin trips. It's the small annoying problems, cable chaos, noisy rooms, sinks that don't work, and none of us have the space or the budget to carry expensive gear for every little issue. So hey, Johannes from Gear Up Your Life here, and today I'll show you 12 tiny cheap travel gadgets that solve real problems. For this video, that means 3 things. All under $20, I'll fix real travel pain points, and all are small enough to fit in my hand. And as always, we have 4 bonus picks at the end. Some of them are even more important for me personally, so let's get right into it. So our first tiny cheap travel gadget is the tomtoc tech pouch, and this time in the small version. The real problem isn't carrying tech, it's carrying it messy. Loose cables, adapters flying around, power banks scratching your AirPods, and every time you need something, you start digging through your bag. That's exactly what a small structured tech pouch fixes. I personally use the medium version when I travel with more gear, but for more than 90% of travelers, the small version is honestly the smarter choice. It's compact, holds its shape well, and gives you just enough organization for a realistic setup. Charger, cable, small power bank, maybe earbuds. And if you've watched my Real Travel Essentials series, you already know this pouch has been featured there because it's something I consistently keep using, not just testing once. Material-wise, it's durable 600D recycled polyester. The interior is light grey so you actually see your cables, and it even stands upright when you open it, which is great in hotels or Airbnbs. Price-wise, it sits right at $20. And for what I think is one of the best value tech pouches in this size category, that's completely fair. Our second product on the list fits this whole video idea perfectly. The Zealand Mini Carabiner for just $5 to $6. And here's the small but very real problem. When you travel, you constantly end up carrying something extra. A tote bag, a jacket, a cap, headphones, or something you just bought, and suddenly one of your hands is always occupied. That's exactly where a tiny carabiner like this makes a difference. I personally use it all the time to attach my nano bag to my sling, so it's always accessible without taking up space inside the bag. It's one of those small things that just quietly makes your setup more flexible. But it's not only about convenience. You can also use the mini carabiner to connect 2 zipper pulls together or attach a zipper to a D-ring inside your backpack. That makes it slightly harder for casual pickpockets to quickly open your bag without you noticing. It's not a high security lock, of course, but as a small added barrier, it absolutely makes sense. And for something that costs around $5, it actually feels surprisingly high quality. The metal construction feels solid in hand, the mechanism opens and closes smoothly, and it doesn't feel like one of those cheap plastic accessories that break after 2 trips. It's a tiny tool, but it has multiple real travel use cases, which makes it exactly the kind of product this video is about. Our next tiny gadget is a flight foam mount from Wicked Chili, and here's the problem. Watching something on your phone during a flight sounds simple, until you actually try holding your phone for 2 hours straight. Your arm gets tired, or your neck starts hurting, and you keep adjusting your position every 5 minutes. I'm actually flying to London tomorrow when this video goes live, and that's exactly why I picked this up. The concept is very simple. You attach it to the seat in front of you, place your phone in landscape mode, and suddenly you have a hands-free mini screen right at eye level. It feels stable, easy to adjust, and noticeably more comfortable during longer travel days in the air. In general, I'm not a big fan of typical airport gadgets because many of them feel unnecessary after a few trips, but this one is genuinely useful and small enough to actually keep in your bag without thinking twice. And it's not just for flights, I've even used it at home while eating and watching something, which makes it more versatile than just a plain only accessory. Price-wise, it's very simple as well, usually around $9, which makes it a small investment for a surprisingly big comfort upgrade. Our next travel gadget is the Elebase multi-USB-C adapter kit, and this little case replaces a whole mess of cables, because let's be honest, most of us don't pack too few cables. We pack the wrong ones, or too many, and then they all end up floating around loose in the bag, taking up space and creating unnecessary chaos. This setup keeps everything in one small organized system. It comes in a round case that's only about 9 centimeters wide and super thin, so it fits easily into any tech pouch or even a jacket pocket. Instead of carrying multiple different cables, you carry one solid base cable and the adapters you actually need. Inside, you get a 100-watt USB-C to USB-C cable for charging laptops, tablets, or phones, plus multiple adapters, USB-C to USB-A, USB-A to USB-C, USB-C to micro USB, and USB-C to Lightning. So no matter what device you're dealing with, you're basically covered. The adapters have aluminum shells, the cable feels durable, and even the case itself feels well made and structured, not cheap or flimsy. It even includes a SIM eject tool and a small slot to store SIM cards, which is a small but very smart travel detail. One tiny case and almost every charging situation is handled. Our next tiny cheap travel gadget is the Jisulife Portable Fan, and I have it in white, but there are a lot of colorways to choose from. If you've ever been on a packed bus, walking through a humid city, or sitting in a hotel room with weak air conditioning, you know how quickly heat can kill your mood while traveling. That's exactly why I picked this up in Spain, and it ended up being way more useful than I expected. It folds down into this small, almost playful bear design, so it's easy to throw into a sling or day pack without taking up real space. But once you open it, you get 3 different speed settings, which actually make a noticeable difference depending on how hot it is. And one small detail I didn't expect but really appreciate, it even has a built-in flashlight at the bottom. Not something you buy it for, but surprisingly practical in the right moment. For something that costs under $10, it feels solid, works reliably, and genuinely improves comfort on hot travel days. It's tiny, simple, and not flashy at all, but in the right climate, it becomes one of those items you're very glad you packed. Our sixth gadget is something most travelers never really think about. A simple USB data blocker. It allows you to charge your device at public USB ports without enabling any data transfer, which protects you from unknown or potentially unsafe charging stations in airports, trains, cafes, or hotels. It's one of those small security details that doesn't change your routine at all. You just plug it in between your cable and the port, but it adds an extra layer of protection while traveling. I personally always carry at least one with me, usually for my phone or MacBook, because it's such an easy way to avoid unnecessary risk. The specific one I use is from Wiseboy, and for around $8, you usually get a small set with multiple connector options, so you can choose the right version depending on your device. It's one of the smallest items in a tech pouch, but easily one of the smartest to keep with you on any trip. Our next tiny cheap travel gadget is the Sea to Summit Clothesline. If you ever wash clothes while traveling, especially when going carry-on only, you quickly notice that drying them is often the bigger problem. Chairs, door handles, shower rails, everything turns into a chaotic drying station. That's where this tiny clothesline makes a real difference. It packs down extremely small, weighs almost nothing, and stretches across almost any room. And the best part is that you don't even need separate clips. The twisted cord design holds socks, shirts, or swimwear securely in place. I actually featured this quite a few times last year, especially when talking about carry-on travel setups. But recently I haven't mentioned it at all, which is exactly why it fits perfectly into this video. Because it's still a super smart solution, it's just small and simple enough that you forget about it until you really need it. For longer trips especially, this can reduce how many clothes you have to pack in the first place, because you know you can wash and dry reliably. And for usually around $12 to $15, it's a very small investment for a very practical upgrade. Our next tiny cheap travel gadget are Velcro cable ties, and this is one of those items where the value you get for the price is honestly kind of crazy. For around $10, you usually get 4 full rolls, and each roll feels like it could organize 30 cables or more. So realistically, one pack will last you for years. But the real benefit shows up the moment you open your bag. Without cable ties, everything slowly turns into a mess. Charging cables wrap around each other, your power bank cable knots itself with your headphones, and your tech pouch never really looks organized. With Velcro ties, you just wrap the cable once, secure it, and that's it. Everything stays clean, compact, and easy to grab. It's not flashy, it's not exciting, but it instantly makes your setup look more intentional and feel more organized. For such a small price, the long-term value is hard to beat. Our next tiny cheap travel gadget is the laundry Wiseboy bag, and this one solves a very clear problem. Clean and dirty clothes always end up mixing. It doesn't happen on day one, but after 3, 4, 5 days, suddenly you're not sure what's clean anymore. And digging through your suitcase trying to figure it out is just annoying. That's exactly where a simple laundry bag like this makes a difference. It folds down almost completely flat, so it takes up virtually no space before the trip. I just throw it into my suitcase and it's there when I need it. As soon as something is worn, it goes straight inside. No guessing, no mixing, no chaos. It's lightweight, easy to hang on a hook in a hotel room or Airbnb, and structured enough that it doesn't feel like a random plastic bag inside your luggage. Especially on longer trips, this keeps everything organized without adding bulk. And at around $10 to $15, it's one of those small upgrades that quietly improves your daily travel routine. Our next tiny cheap travel gadget is a stainless steel metal pill case. And this one is designed for a full 7-day setup. If you regularly take vitamins, supplements, or medication, you know how annoying it is to carry original packaging while traveling. It takes up space, looks messy, and isn't practical for day-to-day use on the road. This version is made from stainless steel, fully waterproof, and divided into separate daily compartments. What I really like is that each section can be unscrewed individually. So if you're going on a beach day or a simple day trip, you can just take the exact day you need and leave the rest in your accommodation. Because it's waterproof, you don't have to worry about humidity, spills, or throwing it into a day pack. Price-wise, it's usually around $10, and I'll link it, like everything else, in the description below. Compared to the smaller Pillow Go that I've featured multiple times before, this one is clearly bigger overall. But if you unscrew a single day compartment, it's actually shorter in height, just slightly wider. And that extra width means you can fit more pills inside. So if you're someone who takes multiple supplements every day and needs proper organization for a full week, this is a very practical and important upgrade. If you only carry a few essentials or mainly need something for day trips, the smaller Pillow Go might still be the cleaner solution. But for a full weekly setup, this one makes a lot of sense. Our next tiny cheap travel gadget is the MR.SIGA sink stopper. And this one fixes a problem you only notice when it's already too late. You try to wash clothes in a hotel or Airbnb sink, and the water slowly drains away because the sink doesn't seal properly. Without a working seal, laundry on the road basically doesn't work. This tiny silicone stopper solves that instantly. You just place it over the drain and it creates a proper seal. No complicated mechanism, no installation, nothing to screw in, it weighs almost nothing, folds flat, and costs under $10. If you travel carry-on only and plan to wash clothes occasionally, this is one of the smallest but most useful tools you can pack. Last but not least, our last tiny and cheap travel gadget is something I've recommended many times before: loop earplugs. And I actually wanted to show them to you properly on camera again, because they've been part of my travel setup for a long time now. If you've ever stayed in a noisy Airbnb near a busy street or next to someone who snores, you know how quickly bad sleep ruins a good trip. Since I started using these, my sleep while traveling improved massively. They reduce noise without completely blocking everything out. They're reusable, comfortable for full nights, and small enough to disappear inside any pouch. Price-wise, they're usually right around the $20 mark, I'll be honest. If they keep getting more expensive and move clearly above that, I'd probably start looking at alternatives. But right now, they're simply some of the best travel earplugs on the market. And for something this small, the impact on your travel days can be huge. But as always, don't go anywhere just yet, because now we're jumping into the 4 bonus gadgets. Quick side note before we continue: if small practical travel upgrades like the ones in this video are your thing, I've put together something much bigger and completely free. Inside my newsletter, you'll find 75 plus tested travel gadgets, 8 complete packing guides for different travel styles, from carry-on only trips to longer stays, and 25 practical travel tip cards that help you avoid exactly those small travel problems we're talking about today. It's also where I share behind the scenes setups, real packing lists, and the gear that actually stays in my bag long term, together with more than 2,000 travelers who are already inside. You can join and get the entire Gear Vault bundle for free through the first link in the description. Alright, let's keep going. But as promised, here are the 4 bonus gadgets. First, the Woburn G5 flashlight. This would normally 100% be in the main list, but it usually sits around $25, and right now it's reduced close to $20. It's compact, powerful, and one of the best small flashlights in this category. If the price stays low, it absolutely fits the concept. Next, merino wool socks. These are honestly some of my absolute favorites for traveling. They regulate temperature, don't smell after one long day, and feel great for extended trips. They just don't really fit the tiny gadget concept, but in terms of real travel impact, they're huge. Then we have the jump rope. Again, not really tiny in the strict sense, but it solves a big travel problem. No gym, no routine, no excuse. It weighs almost nothing, fits into any backpack, and gives you a full workout anywhere in the world. And finally, the Chemo travel pillow. It's slightly bigger than the fits in your hand rule, but if neck pain after flights is a real issue for you, this is a very practical comfort upgrade without carrying a massive U-shaped pillow around. If you enjoyed this one, the video on the left is definitely for you. You'll find even more smart travel gear there, and if you're not subscribed yet, you can do that right here on the right. Thanks a lot for watching all the way to the end, and as always, safe travels guys.